I'm Tyler Palmer. I'm the Acting Public Works Director for the City of Moscow. Most of you were at the underpass dedication, so we won't have a lot of redundancy here. The idea was to show that connectivity, and so we really loved having the opportunity to do the ribbon cutting there and then take the ride here to show how easy it is to really get around town and how important these types of installations are. So we're super excited and really appreciate you all being here for this. I want to kick it off with some thank yous. There's so many people that it takes to make something like this happen, and some of them are really unsung heroes. And so I'd really like to start off with some of the unsung heroes that make something like this happen. First and foremost, we've got Les McDonald, who has been key in all of our transportation infrastructure for a long time, and we're terribly happy to have him with us. It's great to see him. Kevin Lilly and the engineering group, Bob Bouvel in particular, really put a ton of work into this. Steve Schulte, who's our street and fleet manager, Kyle Still with our environmental services group. Some of these things that you don't think about, but it takes getting permits through the Corps of Engineers, and that can take a long time, and like all those things that have to be coordinated. Obviously our city council and our elected officials are the ones that give the direction and give the funding and make this whole thing happen. Tammy Gray put together our whole party here today, and she takes care of getting everything wrangled and just behind the scenes, wonderful help. We had great support from the community, and especially from this neighborhood, especially to put this party together. The idea was we'd have something a little more formal. We'll have a few speeches here, a little more casual, and really we want to get across the way and have a little bit of a party and celebrate the connectivity in our community. So neighborhood partners, in particular, Becker Gooch and Linda Pike, who really helped us out. The DiGiornos, they're the reason we've got power to this right now, and that the ice cream sandwiches are staying frozen on the other side. The community really came together and helped a ton, and we really appreciate that. And then some contractors that they knew that we were on an expedited schedule for this, and they dropped a lot of things and reprioritized some stuff. In particular, Halverson Construction, McCall's Classic Concrete, and Motley & Motley, who all helped put this all together. And so I know it's kind of boring thank yous, but really critical people that we thank for all the hard work. So with that, what we're going to do, we have, like I said, some brief comments today from people. What we really want to emphasize with this is how many people's lives are impacted by infrastructure like this. We talked about the importance of transportation infrastructure, but it really does change people's lives. I remember the first time I went on a mobility workshop, and I was asked to get around in a wheelchair, and I'd never had to do that. I'd never done that before. And things that seemed like a minor obstacle when I was just walking, or I wouldn't even notice, you just step over something, all of a sudden became an insurmountable obstacle. It might as well have been a 10-foot brick wall, because it kept me from being able to get places that I needed to go. And obviously, this creek here in this location is more like the 10-foot brick wall in reverse, a ravine that it keeps people from getting to critical places. And so we're so excited to have this connection. And so we're gonna have some people that talk about the critical nature of connections like this. Our schedule for today, we're gonna have comments from Phil Cook from our Transportation Commission. They were integral through this process. And then we will have Aaron Bacon with our Safe Routes to School, talk about the impact on transportation for school children. And then we'll have Mark with the Disability Action Center talk about the impact that has on the mobility challenge people in our community. After which, Mayor Lambert will give our keynote. Mayor Lambert, immediately after his comments, is going to move on to the ribbon cutting, and then he will lead an initial crossing of the bridge. At that point, we've got some folks from the Disability Action Center that are going to accompany the mayor first, along with any school children that we have here. Please move up as the mayor goes to cut the ribbon, because he's going to lead that initial crossing, and then we'll have a party on the other side. So with that, I'm going to kick it right over to Phil Cook.
Thanks, Tyler. What a great day, huh? I often describe days like today in Moscow as Truman Show days. Those of you remember the Jim Carrey movie where he lived in a bubble and rode his bike everywhere, and everything was always perfect. So kind of the day-to-day in Moscow. So I was asked to say a few words on behalf of the Transportation Commission. For those of you that don't know, the Transportation Commission advises the mayor and council on about creating a transportation system that works for everybody, regardless of age, ability, the mode of transportation that you use, and with hopefully the goal that everyone can reach their destination safely and easily. So today we're celebrating two new additions to that system. I've been on the Transportation Commission since it was created about 20 years ago, And I will say, I'll be honest, our discussions about crossing this creek on this street have been some of the most contentious. But I think those discussions have been good for us as a community. So we've learned about different perspectives, and it's helped clarify as to what's important for the future of this place in which we live. You know, as an advocate for biking, walking, and what's sometimes called alternative transportation, this bridge and the underpass that we just celebrated creates important links and connections to get people where they want to go more directly, more conveniently, and more safely. You know, today we're focused on the bridge, but I also think it's important to talk about other parts of this project. The Hawk signal that that improves the safety of the crossing of Mountain View, the long-awaited completion of sidewalks complete from here to downtown, and the soon-to-be coming separated bike lane. Transportation is really about, as Tyler mentioned, it's really about mobility and access. And as a Transportation Commission member, I take seriously our charge to provide people with safe and reasonable choices for mobility and access to the places they want to go. So this bridge is a choice about our transportation future. And I think this bridge makes the choice to walk, bike, skate, scoot, an easier choice for all of us to make. So I hope we'll continue to make those choices for our transportation infrastructure. That means it provides people more and better options in how they move about our city. So on behalf of the Transportation Commission, I'd like to thank Mayor Lambert and the current City Council, those past mayors and council who worked to make this project reality. I'd like to thank the citizens for a livable community and all the neighbors and our other community members for all your efforts. And lastly, but certainly not least, as Tyler mentioned, I particularly want to thank city staff who worked tirelessly to make this project happen and to make Moscow a great place to live every day. So thank you.
I'm Erin Bacon. I'm the Safe Routes to School Program Coordinator. And what we do is our program strives to help kids get to school, but also many destinations that kids want to get to safely and with the skills and confidence to do so. And projects like this one, as Philip and Tyler said, are really long in the making. And when I started in my role with Safe Routes to School and started to identify some different barriers for kids in our community, I thought to myself, well, we just gotta get a cement truck out here and do this. Somebody call Bill, get a cement truck out here, we're just gonna fix it. And what I've learned is that projects like this are really long in the making, and that there's a lot of discussion and funding and permits and tiers for things like this to become a reality. And what projects like this do for kids in our community in particular is that it provides not only a way for kids to get to school safely, but it provides a way for kids to get to the library, to the farmer's market, to the food bank, to the free summer lunch service that's at Lena Whitmore every day in the summer. And crossings like this provide a way for kids to do that safely and comfortably. I live just in this neighborhood over here. I've been watching from my kitchen window the progress. I've thought many times in the night that I'll just come out here like a thief and just cross it, because I was so excited to have it here. Living on this side of town, I've fallen in this creek many times in my attempts to make a shortcut to my house, and I'm pleased that this infrastructure is here. And a bridge like this, it not just provides connection, but what it really does is it improves quality of life for all the residents here in Moscow. And I'd just like to say a big thank you to everyone that contributed to this project, everyone that supported it, and everyone that gave valuable feedback for it. So thank you.
Mark Leeper with Disability Action Center Northwest. I will be very brief. We advocate for accessibility throughout North Idaho. Actually, we've advocated throughout the country. And so when we see things happen and we have a community that responds and recognizes that all of its citizens really are all of its citizens, it's really pretty cool. And so we really appreciate it. I'm really pleased to see some people that I've known for a lot of years. I thank my staff for being here. Former boss and mentor Larry Clott really introduced me to a lot of accessibility issues. So thank you so much for that. Disability is a part of the community, and access is a critical part of the community. There's no reason in this day and age that a community can't be accessible to everybody, that it can't be a showcase for people that come into a community. And I'm really pleased to say that Moscow has been one of the shining lights. We're actually pretty lucky in north and north central Idaho in general. We've had some great responses, but people here that not only look at complying with the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is one thing, but in terms of saying what is the best way that we can do so and maybe even go beyond to serve our citizens because we care. And so it makes a big difference. And it is for everybody because communities are everybody. So thank you all very much, and let's keep it going, Moscow.
Good afternoon, everybody. What a great day today is, huh? Finally a bridge here on 3rd Street. I got to share with you, I came here in 1977, and if you threw a rock right over the top of that yellow house right there, you would hit the home I lived in for 13 years on 309 South Roosevelt, my late wife and I. And anyway, when we moved there, I'll never forget the guy I bought it from said, because I was the store director at Safeway, and this guy said, "This will be great, you know." I said, "Well, you got a creek here." And he said, "Well, that bridge is going to be built in just the next few years." And I said, "Well, that'll be great. I can go right down Mountain View, a straight shot down to Safeway." And of course, this was field, and that was all field up over there that people raised crops on. In fact, my kids used to snowboard up there, sled and stuff all the time. But anyway, so here we are. It's 42 years later. And do things go fast in city government or state government or federal government? Absolutely not. But you know, it seems like when we come together and we get things done, we finally have a bridge, and it makes sense to have something here. My God, how many years have we procrastinated about different things? And yes, we had wonderful, lively discussions at City Halls. I don't know how many different times. And they were good discussions. And the whole reason it was good discussions is because in this fine community of ours, everybody gets involved in this. And you may be pro a bridge, anti a bridge, multimodal bridge, pedestrian bridge, or whatever, but the fact of the matter is we have a bridge. And I'm happy, for crying out loud, everybody in this crowd would agree we needed some type of a bridge, right? Please raise your hand. Okay, and there's no disagreement there. There's no disagreement there. But I'll tell you, there's some cool things that we've done, and city staff's worked hard on this, along with contractors, to make this feasible. And this bridge right here can be a repurposed bridge. If something else comes down the road for another bridge here, this can be reused by our pathways. Phil Cook was talking about different things, as well as Mike Lowry, pathways and different things that we need in this town. And so we always want to keep that in mind. If you have something you can reuse, why not? Now, who knows when in the world that may or may not happen. But the point of the matter, folks, is we've got a bridge. And with that, I hear we have a party going on. Is there any champagne, Tyler? This is a city function, so we got to be careful.
That the lemonade is spiked.
Okay, the lemon. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, let's cut this thing and walk across this bridge.
There you go, Arius. Yeah, you're gonna have to fix my boo-boo in the middle. I couldn't see it getting bigger and smaller, so the picture was going vroom, vroom, vroom.
Let's get Arius over
Yeah, get Arius in there. And Larry. Well, she could be.
That's smart transit at its best, huh, Larry?